Seven.
Over here.
Seven.
Seven.
Over here.
Look here.
Seven.
Look here.
Seven. Look here.
Seven over here.
Seven.
Over here. Seven.
Smile.
Saturday Night Live is every comedy nerd's first love. It's the gateway drug to sketch comedy, where staying up late felt like a rite of passage and quoting old sketches was basically a love language. Sure, it's had its ups and downs and downs, but there's something magical about that mix of live chaos, iconic characters, and the thrill of wondering if someone's gonna break mid-sketch. Looking at you, Fallon. But for as iconic as the show is, Saturday Night Live has occasionally found itself in hot water over accusations of sketch theft, with comedians and writers pointing out eerie similarities between their work and what ends up on the SNL stage. While some call it outright plagiarism, others argue it's a case of parallel thinking, that being comedy's version of two people showing up to the same party in the same outfit. After all, with so many talented minds mining the same cultural moments for laughs, it's bound to happen that ideas overlap. Still, when it's SNL, the biggest stage in sketch comedy, even a whiff of copying tends to raise eyebrows. I'm Seven McAllister for Seven Entertainment. Let's take a look at 7 times Saturday Night Live has been accused of stealing skits. Now, before we get into that, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and politely tap that notification bell. Number 1. Gourd Have Mercy. In 2019, the sketch comedy group The Temple Horses accused SNL lifting not one, but 2 of their sketches, which, they should be honored, but they probably prefer the money and the recognition. The first instance was a sketch the group originally released in 2014 titled F***ing a Pumpkin. Subtle, right? In this skit, a pumpkin patch owner encounters several adults who seem interested in, remember the title of the sketch, right? Fast forward to 2018, and SNL airs a sketch called Pumpkin Patch, in which Mikey Day plays, you guessed it, a pumpkin patch owner. However, in this sketch, it's his employees who have actually been making love to the Gourds, and they have been caught red-handed. Orange-handed? Also, back in 2011, Temple Horses created Pet Blinders, a fake infomercial for dog goggles meant to spare pets from witnessing their owner's awkward, intimate moments. Cut to 2019, and SNL debuts Pound Puppy, a fake commercial for a dog-shaped tent that the owners can climb into to shield their real dog's eyes during their private time. This one is the same premise with a very different punchline, a bigger budget, and Don Cheadle. NBC's response, a shrug, and a good old parallel thinking card, claiming SNL's writers developed the sketches independently. Now, which side is right? It's hard to say. Maybe we let he who hasn't fantasized about making love to a pumpkin cast the first stone. Maybe I've said too much. Let's move on. Number 2, Paper Trail. I don't like to use the word hate when I'm expressing my opinion, so take that into account when I say I friggin' hate the Charmin Bears. Like a twisted children's show conceived in a boardroom from hell, they invade every corner of your life with their sickeningly saccharine smiles and relentless bathroom propaganda. Ugh, only thing I hate worse is the damn Mucinex blob of snot. At any rate, those blue bastards were due to be taken down a peg, and in 2022, Saturday Night Live took them to task with their sketch cleverly titled Charmin Bears. In the segment, the father of the Bears takes issue with the son wanting to leave the family's toilet paper promoting business so he can pursue dance instead. The problem was fans noticed striking similarities between SNL's take and YouTube Joel Haver's earlier video, Toilet Paper Bears. The similarities between the 2 sketches are hard to ignore. Both spoof the long-running Charmin commercials, both center in on a son bear yearning for a creative life, and both featuring a grumpy dad bear who insists his son join the noble family tradition of hawking toilet paper. Even visually, there are parallels. Blue-furred bears, a spectacled dad, and a son who, unlike his accessorized family, rocks the no-frills look. Sounds damning right? Well, not so fast. When you focus only on surface similarities, it's easy to cry copycat without considering the full context. The differences between the sketches are just as striking. Haver's version is dark, dry, and vaguely existential, like if BoJack Horseman was obsessed with bathroom branding. SNL's take, meanwhile, is pure goofy live-action absurdity, complete with oversized bear suits and a feel-good ending where Dad finally supports his son's dreams. Haver's sketch doesn't even bother with resolution, it just kind of stops, which honestly feels more emotionally honest. Joel Haver addressed the controversy by acknowledging the similarities by attributing them to parallel thinking or a wild coincidence. He stated, when it comes to the Charmin Bears thing, there's a lot of coincidences that would have to line up to make it truly a coincidence, but I don't think it was malicious. Haver emphasized that he didn't believe the sketch was stolen intentionally and expressed understanding, noting that he might have felt differently if he had been a smaller creator. SNL, on its part, did not issue an official statement, but sources close to the show indicated that the writer of the sketch was unaware of Haver's video. Number 3. Clowning Around. In April 2017, comedian Tig Notaro publicly expressed her disappointment over a sketch that had aired on SNL titled Birthday Clown, which bore a striking similarity to her 2015 short film Clown Service. Both narratives center around a depressed, solitary individual hiring a clown for a personal performance. Notaro's character seeks solace after a breakup, while Louis C.K.'s character in the SNL sketch hires a clown to celebrate his birthday alone. In a Hollywood Reporter article, Notaro would be quoted as saying, "It has been impossible for me to ignore the cacophony of voices reaching out personally and publicly about the potential plagiarizing of my film Clown Service, a film that I screened at Largo in Los Angeles for over a year and it premiered at Vulture's Comedy Festival in NYC, as well as numerous film festivals around the country, and I am currently screening on my national tour. While I don't know how it all actually happened, I did find it extremely disappointing. Here's what I can tell you. First off, I have recently learned that a writer-director who was fully aware of Clown Service when I was making it actually worked on Louis C.K.'s clown sketch that is in question." Notaro made it clear that she never gave permission for any part of her work to be used and pointed out that despite her past professional relationship with Louis C.K., the two hadn't been in contact for over a year and a half. While she stopped short of calling the SNL sketch outright plagiarism, she called the similarities extremely disappointing. SNL remained silent on the issue, and the controversy never escalated into legal action. Number 4. Head Turner. On the October 4th, 2014 episode of Saturday Night Live, the show featured a sketch titled River Sisters, featuring Sarah Silverman, Cecily Strong, and Sashir Zameda. The trio portrayed Tina Turner impersonators performing Proud Mary on a riverboat casino. Shortly after, members of the Los Angeles-based comedy troupe The Groundlings accused SNL of plagiarizing their sketch Rollin', which had been performed weeks earlier by Kimberly Condict and Vanessa Ragland. Both sketches shared striking similarities, performers dressed as Tina Turner singing Proud Mary and interjecting personal, weird anecdotes between verses. Groundlings teacher Ian Gary criticized SNL, stating that the show had a history of appropriating material from their troupe without acknowledgement. In a Facebook post, he'd say, "Over the years, I have seen many sketches flat out stolen from my friends by Saturday Night Live, nearly verbatim, word for word, and everyone in our community goes, 'Oh man, that sucks.' And nobody says anything because I guess SNL is still some dream for some people, or they don't want to get involved, or a million other reasonable things that stop people from standing up for each other when things are blatantly wrong." Despite the allegations, many within the Groundlings community remain silent. This hesitancy is often attributed to the close ties between the Groundlings and SNL. Numerous SNL cast members, such as Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig, have emerged from the popular comedy troupe. Speaking out against SNL would jeopardize future opportunities for comedians aspiring to join the show. As a result, even when potential plagiarism occurs, the fear of professional repercussions may deter individuals from voicing their concerns. A source close to SNL told Entertainment Weekly, "It's a common idea since Tina Turner is such an iconic figure. The similarities represent parallel thinking in the comedy world." Also, if any of you out there were thinking of playing a drinking game where you take a shot every time we use the terms parallel thinking, I would not recommend it. Number 5. Home Robbery. In early February 2021, comedian Ted Alexandro accused Saturday Night Live of appropriating a joke from his stand-up routine for one of their sketches. The sketch in question was a pre-recorded parody commercial featuring guest host Dan Levy, portraying Zillow as a source of sensual pleasure for adults browsing real estate listings. Alexandro had previously performed a similar bit in his 2019 stand-up special Cut Up, where he humorously described sharing Zillow listings with a partner as a form of dirty talk. Upon noticing the resemblance, Alexandro shared a side-by-side video comparison on Twitter and requested a $1 million payment from NBC via Venmo. Alexandro's tweet garnered significant attention, with many fans and fellow comedians expressing support for his claim. He acknowledged that while he didn't expect to receive the requested sum, his primary goal was to highlight the similarities between his routine and the SNL sketch. In interviews, Alexandro noted that SNL writers often perform at the Comedy Cellar in New York City, where he regularly works, suggesting this material could have been seen by them. He also would tell Vice that's been the worst kept secret in comedy for a while, that they have a history of their writers stealing bits or ideas that other comedians have done. Things that people have submitted in their packets to SNL. I've heard all sorts of things, and people have even messaged me since I tweeted yesterday. I've probably gotten close to a dozen messages from comedians saying I had the same thing happen to me. NBC did not respond to the accusations, and it's doubtful he will ever see that $1 million, but if he does, I can send him a link to a charming 3-bed, 2-bath cottage with sunny vibes, hardwood floors, and a backyard perfect for coffee or corgis. Number 6, Wedded Miss. The Domingo sketch series on Saturday Night Live has become a viral sensation, captivating audiences with its blend of musical parody and comedic storytelling. The inaugural sketch, Bridesmaid Speech, aired on October 12, 2024, featuring Ariana Grande and cast members Heidi Gardner, Ego Nwodim, and Cher Sherman. In the sketch, the bridesmaids perform an off-key parody of Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso, revealing the bride Kelsey's affair with a man named Domingo, played by Marcelo Hernandez. The sketch's popularity soared, amassing 11 million views on YouTube and 15.2 million on TikTok. Building on the success, SNL introduced subsequent installments, including Baby Moon and Domingo Vow Renewal. The latter, part of the SNL 50th anniversary special, featured a star-studded cast with Sabrina Carpenter, Pedro Pascal, Bad Bunny, and others. However, many people have pointed out the similarities between this sketch and a moment that takes place in the Kevin Hart, Josh Gad 2015 buddy comedy, The Wedding Ringer. In the movie, the bride's besties serenade the newlyweds with their own off-key version of the Bill Withers hit Lean On Me. During the song, they make things awkward by singing about how hot the bride's ex-boyfriend was. Now, if SNL lifted from this film is open for debate, I guess the question is, how well known of a trope is it that bridesmaids would put together a horribly awkward performance for a wedding? And I'll be the first one to raise his hand and say, hey, it happens. Definitely happens. Number 7, No More. While much of this list relies on hearsay, speculation, and the murky waters of parallel thinking, this particular instance stands apart. It was openly admitted to, and unlike the others, it didn't end in denial or vague justifications. Instead, it concluded with an admission of guilt. On the March 18th, 1995 episode of SNL, an episode hosted by Mad About You star Paul Reiser, Jay Mohr would star in a sketch titled O'Callahan and Son Pub. Now, if you bring up this episode on Peacock today, you'll find Stuart Smalley, a classic Norm Macdonald Weekend Update, and a Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey. What you will not find is O'Callahan and Son Pub, because it was pulled from syndication due to plagiarism. In his memoir, Gasping for Airtime, Jay Mohr openly admits to one of the most infamous instances of joke theft in Saturday Night Live history. During his tumultuous stint on the show in the early 90s, Mohr confessed to lifting a sketch idea from comedian Rick Shapiro, a move he later deeply regretted. The sketch in question, where an Irish bartender insults his clients, was pitched by Mohr and ultimately saw produced. The segment bore a striking resemblance to Shapiro's original concept, which Mohr had seen performed live in New York. According to Mohr, the pressure to deliver at SNL, combined with his insecurity and desperation to stay relevant in the writer's room, pushed him to make a decision that he knew was wrong. He describes the immense guilt that followed, particularly when the sketch aired and he realized how badly he had compromised his integrity. However, at the time, the guilt didn't drive him to confess when confronted by SNL head Lorne Michaels about the incident. The fallout eventually reached NBC, and while the network didn't make a public spectacle of it, according to Mohr, it did lead to financial compensation being paid to Shapiro. And in a performance where Mohr and Shapiro say a lot of the same things, there is one place where they differ, as Shapiro has claimed that he never received a penny from NBC. Ah well, what else do you expect from Jay Mohr's book, one that Bobby Moynihan once described as a handbook on what not to do at SNL? Well, there's our list. Did I leave out any other times that Saturday Night Live was accused of stealing skits? If so, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tippity tap that notification bell. Until next time, I'm Seven McAllister for 7 Entertainment saying bye-bye.